What's up, world? It's your boy Dez here again with my bro. We got got the Pop Culture Pulpit for you. This like episode 3. It's been a minute. He got some content coming for you too. Let him know where to find you at.
Hey, be on the lookout for D East the Beast. We're gonna be checking in with you with some sports content and some related talks. That way we can get back and talk with each other. Just gonna be able to subscribe on to that. I'm moving on to the pulpit.
So what we're looking at right here is a little bit different format. We've been talking lately about the Rings of Power and
House of the Dragon.
House of Dragon from Game of Thrones. So I'm not gonna add anything from like the movies and nothing like that. I'm just gonna look at the series by itself and kind of like the settings of the world that they've placed it in comparison to the movies. I'm gonna let y'all make up your minds as to which one to watch. Probably prefer both of y'all from both our perspectives. We started with the Rings of Power with just the setting of the world. The world is nice. It's a beautiful thing to look at. It's very bright when it needs to be, and it's very dark when it needs to be. They've done a very good job of translating what we saw in the first 6 films into this 8 episodes first season. So I'm very pleased with what I saw there in comparison to what I saw with the movie.
Busting in, I've never seen personally no Lord of the Rings, no Hobbits, no Rings of Power. So mine is a counteract of everything that he's gotten and trying to explain. And when it comes to the shows, granted I can't knock something I've never seen. We're going off of preference. Like for instance, once you start, for me, I started hearing about hobbits, dwarves, changing. What all they got?
Let's talk about what you know though. What's the setting? Give them the setting of the House of Dragon in comparison to what you've seen in Game of Thrones.
I'm pretty sure the viewers should know right now. If you clicked on it, you know.
Well, what's your review of the setting there? Tell them what you've seen in the setting.
My review of the House of the Dragons was, I feel like some of the points was dragging, but at the same time, it was kind of right to the cut, to the narrow. There's not that much going on. You got the Targaryens, and you got what they got going on. Ain't much more than that. That's what the show was about, and they kept it subtle and kept. I mean, granted, they had time jumps. Some people will get confused if you didn't know what the show was going on. That's understandable, but when it came down overall from episode 1 to episode 10, I felt like it was a great season. When it goes down to the Rings of Power, granted, like I said, I've never seen it, but like I said, there's just be a lot going on, man. It's like it's not no cut and dry. Granted, sometimes I don't want to think when I watch a show. I just want it to be cut and dry. Tell me what's going on with this particular thing right here.
As I said, you focus on what you've seen, and I'm gonna break down what I've seen because it is cut and dry. If you try to think about, if you're worried about what you saw in the movies, then you're gonna miss everything. It's just like I said, you can watch Ring of Power as a standalone by itself. For one, because it takes place before everything that you know of from Lord of the Rings. And when it comes to battles, I don't know about the Game of Thrones or House of Dragon battles, but the battles in Rings of Power, they're not big scale battles like you would see in Lord of the Rings. They're small little battles here and there to kind of set the tone of what's going on from one army to make a move against the common people or whatnot. So in that vein, I would say it's good. You get to see sword fighting. You get to see 3D stop animation going on. There's espionage at play. So when it comes to the battles, it keeps you interested in that way. What about in Game of Thrones? Any battles there?
I ain't gonna lie. In my opinion, when it came to the battle scenes, there wasn't that many. There was more drama than battle scenes now.
In House of Dragon?
Yeah.
So a lot of talking, a lot of dialogue. I won't say a lot of talking because that's kind of negative, but a lot of dialogue that kind of carries the story.
Yeah.
Well, what about the dialogue? How was the dialogue?
The dialogue was good. I mean, it kept you into it. Let's put it like that. Because like you was watching a show like that with dragons and stuff. That pretty much what you would be expecting is to see dragons biting up somebody every episode.
Right. I know if I jump into it, I'm like, man, where the dragons at?
Exactly. Exactly. And that's what any viewer would think. You know what I'm saying? But I feel like they did a good job of mixing it in and like not having them try to overtake the show, but at the same time making the viewers actually learn the backstories of who y'all finna be watching. You know, granted, for some people, I ain't gonna lie, I've heard or read that they weren't really feeling the time jumps. Me, honestly, I had no problem with the time jumps because they already done came out and they said that they don't expect to have this as no very long series. So you can't condense. I mean, you got to be able to condense. I mean, 100 years that's gonna pass,
Right.
which is the Dance of Dragons. You got to condense 100 years somehow, some way. So there's gonna be time jumps. There's probably not gonna be none right now, no more, from what I heard. But yeah, it was more dialogue. They had their suspense, but it wasn't too many. Oh, we going to battle.
Right.
Round up the people. No, it wasn't none of that. It was more drama.
See, for Rings of Power, I'd say Rings of Power had great, I won't say great dialogue, but it was decent enough dialogue to carry you through the story. Once again, without prior knowledge of anything of Lord of the Rings. Again, you can watch this as a standalone and be perfectly fine. The characters, right? See, the character development as a part of that dialogue, I'd say carries the story more along than any of the battles would, or even any of the lore would. So they really get you drawn into the character development through these first, I guess it was like 8 episodes, and before they actually start to reveal who, for certain, the list there, for certain who people are and what their purpose will be. And again, if you know the lore, you kind of know how that's going to be, considering this takes place for like 1,000, 2,000 years, some odd years before the events of The Hobbit, which took place a couple hundred years before the events of The Lord of the Rings. So you have that dynamic there.
I do give them credit on trying to. I don't want to be in trouble for saying it, but be ethnic inclusive by making the Valerians black.
I do like that about Rings of Power. There are some actual black people in there this time too. I always had that question: where are the black people at?
I ain't trying to be like that. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nobody trying. I ain't trying to get canceled before I start. But hey, I liked that about House of the Dragons. They had the Valerians were black, the highest of the high, pretty much. You know. They can ride dragons. They the richest in the land. Hey, I could get with that, man. You know.
But what about the rest of the character development?
Granted, now they did them wrong, man. I ain't gonna lie. Like any show, you know, I ain't gonna. That's another day. So,
No, I'm talking about all the characters as a whole.
all the characters as a whole.
Character development.
They did them all wrong. I don't care. I'm gonna leave it at that. That's for another day. I'm gonna leave it at that. Let's just say 3/4 of them are not walking and talking anymore. You know, so we're gonna leave it at that.
So in comparison to other shows like I don't know, Supernatural, Grimm, and whatnot, where would you put this in your as starting out like with the first season? Does it got potential or is it like a no-go?
Well, I'm gonna give it like this. If we're comparing, honestly, Game of Thrones first 6-episode season, season 1 was only 6 episodes, right? That season, 6 episodes carried me and had me more hooked than House of the Dragon season 1. I'll take that. Because honestly, I ain't gonna lie, man, like a lot of viewers, I was rocking with Ned Stark. You know what I'm saying? And with that, when everything happened with that, there was no way I couldn't watch that again. You know, there was no way I didn't feel some type of way at the end of that season. You know what I'm saying? This one, House of the Dragons, I should say. I mean, it ended bad. They both had tragedy. They both had honestly, well, yeah. Oof. The way that one ended, when you lose a child, man, yeah. And then it ends on a cliffhanger. It just lets you know what's finna go down.
And see, that's what I was about to mention, the cliffhanger. See, Rings of Power, again, with the character development. So not only did they develop their character, each character had their own story intertwined amongst the bigger story. So at the end of the series, or at the end of this first season, there was a few characters who had cliffhangers. So is this character this person, or is this character not this person? We got to find out next season, hopefully, whether that be the case or not. They did introduce some elements of the rings in this final season. So the rings themselves is also left on a cliffhanger. So they did a great job of doing that and keeping the stories, not like I said, not necessarily separate, but intertwining everybody's stories to make one bigger world. Me personally, I give it a watch. I definitely give it a watch.
I'll give it a watch, but if you know anything about it, I'm talking about House of Dragons myself. If you know anything about it, the way they ended it, I ain't gonna lie, it's set up so you already know what's gonna happen this season 2. It's nothing else but they I felt like they kind of rushed it, and I don't like the way. I mean, I like the way they did it. They ended it. It was kind of cool because wars typically start off as confusion and messed up deeds that something happened that wasn't supposed to happen, and hey man, now we at this impasse.
Yeah.
That's how this is finna go down.
Same. So those few moments happen in Rings of Power too.
I give them that. They set it up good. I just felt like it was kind of pushed in. For the viewers, yeah, it's worth a watch. You'll see what I'm talking about with all the bullshit and the fuckery that we going on. Just give it a watch.
So boom, there you got it. So today, y'all don't have it either or. You got a suggestion to watch both and let you make up your mind as usual, whether either or. Welcome to the Pop Culture Pulpit. Again, it's your boy Dez.
D's to Beats, man. Check me out, man. Sports content, pulpit. We gonna be at it, man. How at me.
Go ahead, subscribe, like, and we'll holler at y'all next time.
Already.